Hey, what's up, everybody? Cheyenne Perry here with the Lean In podcast, where everyone has a story to tell. It's time to lean in, listen, and learn from the stories that are shared. Let's get it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Cheyenne Perry here with the Lean In podcast. Today we have a special guest, Nashville native, artist, songwriter, and so much more. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary-Clair. How you doing today, Mary-Clair?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, doing well. Yeah, blessed beyond measure.
Right, right. Amen.
Yeah. So we'll walk through a series of questions today. But first question I want to ask you, Mary-Clair, is what's your family dynamic like? What's your upbringing?
Okay, so I was raised in a Christian home in Nashville, Tennessee. So very Bible Belt, Music City. There was Christian music playing all the time. We have like a radio in the garage and it's been on YFM since I was born. So
Yeah.
it's always been around. And my dad is in the music industry, so I've just grown up watching artists and going to church and worship and the studio and concerts, and it was very music heavy, and me and my siblings are very blessed, and yeah, it's been fun, but it's been all around constantly since I was born.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So your family's really musically gifted.
Well, okay, musically gifted, I wouldn't say so. My dad, he's a manager, but you don't want to hear him sing. So
Yeah.
you don't want to stay next to him in church.
Duly noted. Duly noted. Yeah. Nice. All right. So you got the gift of singing and all that jazz. So yeah.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So walk us through your testimony of following Jesus. What was that like? What is that like?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I feel like I was on autopilot. Whenever you're surrounded by
Mm,
so many godly people, you feel like you can kind of lean on their faith a little bit.
yeah.
And it wasn't until I hit high school and went to a public school that I really saw the world in a different light, and I had to kind of make my faith my own. And then transitioning into college 4 years ago, I just found myself, having to make decisions about the friends that I was going to hang out with and the things that I was going to do in my free time. And that's whenever I really heard the Lord saying that I should get into music. And that was really intimidating because a lot of the people my age, were just kind of going with the crowd, following the natural flow of what everyone else was doing. And that seemed really cool to me. And, it was comfortable. So it was, tempting at times, but then I would be reminded that, I'm put on the earth, with a purpose. And
Yeah.
so started to do music about 3 years ago, released my first song, and it's been, nonstop ever since, and just recently released my album, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a lot all at once, and, I'm 21 years old, and so it's really exciting, but it's really scary. But I'm excited to see where the Lord takes it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I'd love to hear. We'll touch on more about that too. Your new album. So
Mm.
can you walk us through going to the music realm now? What was that like starting music, and what was that like going up to or leading up to creating your own album?
Yeah, so I just grew up watching Christian artists, and what's funny is, I was born a few years after. So my dad manages Mercy Me, and they have the hit "I Can Only Imagine." And by the time that I was born and growing up, it was already a hit. So I never got to see the struggle years.
Mm,
So I always got to see, the sold out stadiums and, the big concerts and interviews and red carpets. And so as I've started to become an artist, I'm, wondering, am I doing this right? I'm playing at a coffee shop and there's two people here.
yeah.
Am I doing something wrong? Here, people that I've been surrounded by growing up, mentors and artists saying, yes, you have to grind it out. You have to struggle. You have to do the concerts where no one shows up and, work hard at your craft. It's really encouraging, but it's different because I've never seen the artist, in the starting out phase of art. I've always seen them, polished and ready. And
Mm,
so I think that's been a big way that the Lord has showed me that, He wants me to trust Him and not what I've seen before. So it's scary, but it's exciting. I'm always second guessing myself, but I'm just learning to trust.
right. That's awesome. Yeah, I just listened to some of your tracks now on your album, and I love
Oh,
it. I
thank
love it.
you.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. So talk a little bit more about your album. So what was that process like of songwriting and creating an album? And
So I was releasing singles and I had four or five. And then last year in the summertime, I kind of took some time off from school and went out to the West Coast and the East Coast and wrote a lot of songs and found myself with like a good chunk of songs, enough to make an album. And I kind of said to my team, why not? Let's just throw
Yeah.
them all on an album and then let's make another album next year. And they were like, oh gosh. So that's what we did. And I always thought that, artists, whenever they're first getting started, they kind of like make an EP or something. But I was
Hmm.
like, no, let's just do the full length thing. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the songs are, if not all of them, are just stories of what I've gone through in my life. I never sat down to write a song and was like, I want to write about this thing that could happen. It was always, this happened the other day, or this happened a year ago, or I grew up feeling this way. And, a lot of my songs are about hard issues like, depression and, people passing away and maybe a divorce in the family. And it's just a lot of like hard life stuff. And I knew that I wanted to lead with those songs and those messages to get people's attention. And yeah, I just worked with great producers like Ted T and Jeff Pardo, Carter Froge, Mike Woods, and it's crazy to see the lineup of people that are involved and invested in this album because I am so new. So I think that's a way of the Lord showing me, hey, this is the right path. Just trust me and I'll put the right people there. But yeah, all of the songs are really personal. There's a song for my little sister on the album. There's a cover of an
Okay.
Elvis hymn. I grew up, my grandpa would have it, on vinyl. And yeah, I mean, it's like my journal. Like I tell people, if you want to know what would be in my journal, just go to Spotify and hit play, and that's it.
I like it. Journaling's good. That's good.
It
That's
is.
good. When you songwrite, what does that look like? Is it more of like I'm just kind of sitting with the Lord and allow Him to speak to me on different subjects?
Yeah, so usually what I do is I'll have like a voice memo or I'll have like a little idea and I'll bring it to the studio and then I'll just like word vomit and be like, this is everything that I'm feeling. And then I'll try to find, the rhyming words in there or the melodies, and I'll usually be sitting at the piano. I love the piano. It's always, a safe place for me. So I'll start there and then I'll just see where the song goes.
How long have you been playing the piano for?
Probably since I was 12 or 13. We always had one in our living room at home, and we would get home from school and just, at first it was kind of funny, like, making funny songs, and then me and my sister would really start to get into it, and she's great, but I can get by. I can do
Yeah.
the chords, but I can't, I'm no, like, I'm not good. I can get by.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Musically talented, instrumentally talented. There we go. That's awesome. So I had Tadashi on last
Yes.
couple episodes ago, and he referenced being on your song "Never Be the Same," which we both
Mhm.
love. It's a very upbeat. I love the song. Can you walk us through what was the story behind that or inspiration behind "Never Be the Same"?
Yes, so I was writing that song for Kanakuk Camps, and they had reached out about making a theme song for the summertime. And I was all over it. I was like, yes, I want to do this song. And then I was standing by my dad, and I was like, Dad, do you know Tadashi? And he was like, I don't know, a little bit. And I was like, okay, what if you just asked him? Like, what's the worst that could happen? He's going to say no, he can block you, whatever. And so he sent him a text and was like, "Hey, MC's doing a song for Kanakuk, and Tadashi has done several theme songs for them. Like he's a legend there. He's the GOAT. Like
Okay.
everyone at Kanakuk loves Tadashi." And so he was like, "Bro, yes, I'll do it." And I freaked out. I started running circles around the house. I was like, "This cannot be real." And so, yeah, he came into Nashville from Atlanta, and we met at the studio. And the first time that was the first time that we had really formally met, and we had to make a song together. And it was so cool just to see like his creative process.
Mm,
He would sit on the couch and be like, "Give you like 30 seconds," and then he would write a verse, and then he would go record it. And I'm like, "You did not just make that." It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up listening to him. I've got an older brother who was super into like all the 116 stuff, so
Uh, uh-huh.
it was a dream come true. And we finished the song, and I told my whole family, like, don't tell Jake, my older brother. Like, let's surprise him. Because he loves Tadashi, Lecrae, all those guys.
Huh.
And so I was like, oh, I finished the camp song. it's not that good, but I want you guys to hear it. And so we got in the car and I played it, and Tadashi starts doing his rap, don't need no champagne. And Jake was like, is that Tadashi? And I was like, yeah. And he started freaking out. And it was so much fun. But I mean, that song is a dream come true. The kids love it. People love it. It's a party song.
Yeah.
It's just a gift. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good song. So if you have not heard it, folks, definitely tune into it. Never Be the Same with Mary-Clair featuring Tadashi. That's a huge hit. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Switching gears now to the Bible. If you had a favorite Bible story or a character from the Bible that you could relate to, what would that be? Who would that be?
I mean, I've always loved Esther. I feel like she was a young woman who felt alone a lot of the time, and it was up to her to lead a large group of people, and even she questioned if she was doing the right thing. And I feel like that a lot of the time. So to be able to see, a story in the Bible about someone like that who only could pray and rely and hope and trust that the Lord was leading her in the right direction. I've always loved that story. I love Mary, like she's just this young girl given with this, huge task to raise the Son of God. And she just, she's scared and she's afraid, but she does it and she grows into, this woman of God. And I love women in the Bible. I think it's incredible. Moses, him being a leader, I've always loved him growing up. And then obviously Jesus, but that's, you can't say who's your favorite character in the Bible. And that's like, you can't do that. So
Right.
Yeah, obviously him, but I've just loved watching, these people become leaders that wouldn't call themselves a leader. God calls you and you may not feel ready, but he'll make you ready. And just to see that story unfold in scripture, to know that, he sees me today and he sees all of us and that we can relate with something in the Bible is always really comforting. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Great examples too. Yeah, that's good.
What about you? What's your favorite right now?
That's a good question. I would say most people would probably say the Apostle Paul because of his from Saul to Paul. I would say now probably I think about the disciple John and just how he was preparing the way for Jesus and how he was so faithful and obedient to make sure that he was not the one to be glorified and praised, but it was ultimately Jesus who's the one he's preparing to show the folks that, hey, he's the Messiah, I'm not the one, and how he's so bold and courageous in his faith, and how I hope to be and keep continuing to be strong in my faith in Jesus. So yeah, thank you for good question. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's not about us. We're just making the way.
That's right. Yeah. Mary-Clair, what do you do? What's a normal or a day in the life of Mary-Clair?
I mean, we've got to get a good, cup of coffee. We've got to go somewhere. We got to get out of the house. So I've got a few spots around Franklin where I'm from, and, I'll go between those. I have to journal. If I don't get my thoughts out, then I'm just a mess the whole day. So I got to write those down. And then, I love to do something active, whether a walk, spending time with God outside, just looking at his creation or just something like that. And then being in the studio, writing, playing on the piano, learning new music, learning new sounds, watching old YouTube videos of like Michael Jackson. That's always a good thing to do. Yeah, good food, finding time for family, friends, church. Like Sunday mornings, you wake up and you're like, oh, I gotta get up. I gotta do this. Yeah. But just finding time for those things and honestly realizing that a lot of what I used to pray for, I have. And so learning how to be grateful and thankful in the moments. I found myself recently praying for good community around me where I live. And I've really seen the Lord answer that prayer. And so just, being thankful and being intentional with people, texting them, how can I support you? How's your day going? Cultivating those things that he's blessed us with so that they don't just, fall to the wayside. So,
good.
And then Instagram reels sometimes, for 4 hours.
Scrolling, all that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. It's a lively life you live. Yeah.
That's right.
Is there a balance between like your public space versus private space? Like, People who recognize you as the artist, musician versus people who know you just personally as a friend? Is there a balance between that?
Yeah, it's been fun recently to have like childhood friends kind of watch what I'm trying to do, and adult friends and people that have, known me since I was little, and whenever I see them, they're always like, "How's the music going?" and it's really fun. And then, I'll meet people who only know me for my music,
Hmm.
and then they get to know me as a person. And so I think it's fun. I try to be as authentic as I can in my music stuff so that I'm not like living this double life, and like what you see in the music is what you get with me,
Yeah.
So I try to keep it all together, but it does feel like, Hannah Montana, where you're like, I'll go perform and then I'm going to go to a birthday party
Right.
and then, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep it authentic because I don't want to end up, being two separate people, and I want people to, know what they're getting into. So yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. I see it. I see it in your behavior. You just exudes positivity and energy and very, very chill. So praise the Lord for that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Um, what are some hidden talents that most people don't know about, Miss Mary-Clair?
Hidden talents. You know, I feel like if I'm in a room and it is so awkward and dead, like a birthday party
Uh-huh.
or like anything, I feel like I can break the ice. And I feel like that's a hidden talent of sorts. I can do this weird thing with my fingers where I can like bend just the top part. Can you do that? I learned that in middle school. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I used to be able to do the moonwalk really well, but now that I'm old, I can't really do it anymore. But yeah, those are a few. I don't know. Those are kind of lame.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. Yeah. Most people probably can't do that. So, uh, jack of all trades is what I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Mary Claire, I think about your album enough, and like you said, just like you journaling, and I think about everyone, but specifically the young people who may be struggling or trying to find a sense of belonging or a sense of hope or peace. What would you say to those folks? What's your encouragement to those people?
I mean, I would just say don't settle. I feel like the world wants you to lean a certain way. And I feel like people are having to compromise on the movies that they watch and, the music that they listen to. And I want to tell people, especially believers that are struggling, young people that maybe grew up in a Christian home and they're struggling with temptations, or people that, grew up in a secular home and they're learning about, maybe who is God and who is this Jesus, and letting them know that you can learn about both sides, but don't let the world push you to be someone that you're not. So I really wanted to make an album that had pop sound and it was fun and you could roll the windows down, but it didn't have to talk about things that, you shouldn't be listening to as a Christian, and trying to keep the language and the wording right, and checking myself if I ever wanted to write about something that wasn't glorifying God. And I believe my grandma would always say that, whenever I would sing, it was a gift of God. And I believe that, our breath is an active gift from God.
Yeah.
He gives us breath. And so who would I be to use it for anything other than his glory? And I think also for me personally, it's a good reminder to me that whenever I'm falling into temptation, my music is there to check me and be like, no, you have to stay focused. You have to stay right, because the enemy is so good about wearing us down slowly,
Yeah.
to the point where we just become like numb to things that used to, be an alarm to say, hey, you need to get back in the word. You need to get back into your quiet times. I just want to make music for, young girls, young guys, adults, all ages. That's fun and exciting, but the message is there, the truth is there. And that's something that, I always want to do as an artist, is to bring the truth, but make it fun and make it accessible for believers and non-believers alike.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's encouraging. So that's awesome. What so what's next for you, Mary Claire? You got your new album out there, promoting it like it's no one's business, which is good. People need to check it out, tune in to it. What's next for you on the horizon?
I'm just trying to, get my name out there, do things around Nashville, writers' rounds, coffee shops, stuff like that, and just trying to find myself, because I feel like I'm still trying to figure out who am I as an artist, what do I want to look like whenever I go on stage, what do I want to talk about, and I think just learning that as long as I can be myself, that's the best way to go. But I don't have many big things on the horizon. I hope maybe someday I do, but for now it's just, trying to get out there and let people hear the message, and it's been good so far. But yeah, just little shows here and there, interviews, podcasts, awesome stuff like this. So it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. As we begin to wrap up here, what's sticking to your album here? What is there a favorite song from the album that you really enjoy and love, and why? I know it's a tough
That's
question.
like that's like picking your favorite kid. Like they have to, close their ears. Um, Man, I would say There's a God has become my favorite over the past few weeks. I think that the way that people have received it has been crazy. The messages that I've gotten are really encouraging, and I just think it's a great song. I love the one for my sister. I love Heaven in the Way. It was the first song written, and it's really personal. So I mean, all of them are very personal, but I feel like lately There's a God has been a banger, and I love it. And, it's a personal favorite.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, folks, hopefully you learned a lot today from Miss Mary-Clair. The cool things that she can do that most people probably can't. Very, very spontaneous, full of energy, and really, really loves the Lord and loves people. So being hands and feet of Jesus through her musical talents and abilities. So thank you, Mary-Clair, for talking and sharing about your life and parts of your story. So appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a blessing. I'm so glad that I get to do cool stuff like this with people like you. So thank you so much. It's been an honor, and I'm just thankful. I can't believe this. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, folks, and thanks for tuning in. If you have not, again, tune in to Mary Claire's new album called Enough. Every single song, check it out. You don't want to miss out. And so thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll talk to you later. We're out.